last time, I don't know if you recall, I was in the middle of trying to get a logo in place, and I had some problems, so I just need to show you quickly. I can't remember if I'm going to be able to recollect exactly why or I did things, but I suspect that I hadn't got to this point. But this is the sort of thing that you might have to put a logo onto. It's sort of, here I've got, let me just unwrap these or unsuppress them. You can see I've got a logo in here. It's made of two parts. I'll explain why in a moment. So if I just suppress one of them, you'll see that that's an outline, and then inside is the second part. Okay, so I'm gonna re-establish both of these. And explain how it goes step by step. So you need obviously to get a DXF file made, and that can be tricky on its own. I don't know, you guys, do you use Corel Draw or Inkscape or some sort of vector graphics program? Does anyone have an answer?
Yes. Yeah, we use Inkscape.
Inkscape, okay, great. Okay, I've never used Inkscape, so I wouldn't know how to use it. But you've got to create your vector in Inkscape and then export it as a DXF. So I wouldn't be able to tell you how to do that. But the things to watch out for is to make it as simple as possible and to get things lined up. So once you've got your DXF and you know where it is, and then you create your planes. Like I've created this plane, this first plane. Show you what I've done here. So I wanted a plane which was tangent to this curve, but only over a short section of the item. So what I did is, let's just delete them, start this again. So I selected three vertices. So that vertex, that's not right, that's an edge. So go here. So I selected a vertex, that's that one there, and another one, and then a third one. So now you can see the plane goes through this top curve at 3 points, so that gives it a nice kind of landing, and it's fully defined. Once I've done that, from that plane I've now created a second plane which is just offset from it. So all I've done is offset. Do you want me to explain how to do that? So you can select the plane or not. You can go to plane, and it'll offset by 10 millimeters instantly if you selected something, and you can just flip, like in this case I want to flip it. So as long as it's 10 millimeters offset or something, it can be 5, as long as it's offset by a certain amount, it doesn't really matter. I say okay, and it's done. Right, now with that plane selected, you go to insert, and near the bottom here there's DXF DWG. So don't create a sketch first, you have to select the command first. It'll then, SolidWorks will create the sketch for you. So then you navigate to where your logo is, and here it is, Steers Logo DXF. It'll bring up this import dialog box, which you don't want to do 3D curves because then you'll get tons of 3D curves. I think I did deal with this, yes I did. Next, okay, so here we just have to change to millimeters. You can select layers, you can see what's happening. You can say next. Then you can actually select parts here. I had done this, I remember this now. Next, and then finish. Okay, so here I've got a warning here which says one entity could not be imported. So one of the lines when I open this drawing is not going to be present. That's okay, I can fill it in. I'm going to say close, and what it's done is it's actually placed that sketch on, it's placed it on the top, is it the front plane? It's placed on the front plane because it doesn't like where I've placed it, and I'm not sure why this is, but what I did figure out is that if I just right click on here and I say make edit sketch, it'll allow me to edit the sketch, and then I can replace where the sketch is. So if you get that error, if you get what I've got here with a nice big fat no sign on it, just right click and say make edit sketch. Okay, then it'll place that sketch. There it is. Yeah, so it's placed it nominally on this plane, but in fact it's placed it on the front plane. So I want to place it on this plane. So all I do is I right click and I go to edit sketch plane, and then select from the right hand side here the plane that I created, and it'll replace the one with the other. Okay, so if it disappears, it just means it's put it up somewhere, like up there. So if I go into the sketch and edit it, you'll see it's put it very far away from where I need to be, and now I need to get it first of all to face in the right direction. So let's just see if it is. Okay, it's on the right side of the plane. Sometimes it'll place it on the wrong side, but it is completely upside down and in the wrong place. So let's go back to normal 2, and then I can mirror that. So I probably need a line first, just any old line, doesn't matter, a horizontal line, and then I can just mirror that and make sure that I take the copy off, select mirror about. So now at least it's in the right, one of the orientations is correct. If I scroll around, in fact it's right, it's exactly where I want it to be. You can see that the missing line is this one here at the bottom, or maybe there's 2 of them, and you can see it's filled in with grey the parts that it's going to use and the other parts it can't use. So what I want to do is I want to create, first of all I want to create a depression using these outer lines, and then I want to create an opposite sort of feature using these inside lines. So I'm going to duplicate the sketch once I've got it to where I want it to be. So first of all I'm going to go back to normal 2. Oops, it's done that. Cancel. Right. Okay, so I'm not going to have time to actually figure out exactly what this line should be, but you can use splines. So I suspect that something like this was at play. Right, you see it's gone grey. But if I use it as it is, it's actually going to it's not going to give me what I want. So that's nice. I like the sketch. I'm happy with. Setu, how are you? Okay, now I need to just place it where it needs to be. So at the moment I'm looking at it from the wrong point of view, so I'm just going to go back to normal 2. It should flip. There we go. Okay, and so I'm going to just select the whole lot and move them. But before I do that, because an easier way to do this is just to first of all measure from your origin point to some point on here. So let's put in a point. This is what I normally do. I put in a point that I know can be shared by 2 separate sketches. I'm going to create 2 separate sketches. So I'm going to select this center of this bottom curve here as an ideal point. And I'm going to measure from there to, out the way, to there. And I can see that it needs to move by 132.99 millimeters approximately. So I'm just going to then select it. And I know this works better because I've been doing this for years, and it's much easier to move something like this instead of trying to drag it. Let's see, I know we can drag it. Okay, so if you have problems dragging it, because if your computer's slow, this might get very laggy, then instead of doing what I've just done here, you can just select everything, move it, and then select the X, Y, and then go to Y and type in your dimension here, 132, and it is actually, yeah, that should be right. Let's see. You can hit enter, and it won't exit the command. So if you need to move it some more, you can. So let's say 132 was too much. Let's say 102. You can hit enter again. Oh, that's 102. That might not be right. It's 122. It's maybe a bit too much. Okay, so you can play with it. That's an easier way to move something if it's getting laggy. Okay, I think I'm gonna 5. That's about right for me. I'm going to leave it there. You can move it from left to right as well once it's in place. Now, the thing that you don't want to do, you don't want to move this whole lot in one by one if you need to alter it. So we're going to create a block. But before we do that, let's want to select the whole lot. I've Control C, and then I'm going to go out. And the reason I'm doing this is because I absolutely have to have 2 sketches. So go back to this plane, sketch, Control V. You can see it's brought it in the wrong way. That's okay. And now I just need to align these 2 sketches. So this is one way of doing it. Another way is that you could actually just borrow parts of that sketch. In fact, I'm going to do that because that's going to be easier. So right now, the first sketch, that one there, I want that to be the primary sketch, and the second sketch, which is going to be all the interior parts, I want those to be secondary sketch. Don't know if this is going to be quicker. So select chain, yes. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm saying I'm selecting a line and then selecting chain, but I'm holding the control button, the shift button down, so that it does it in it puts them all together. So I've got to select all the interiors, select chain, and convert entities. Okay, looks like I've got that in place. Let's just have a look quickly. Sketch. Yes. Okay, so sorry. This really is very slow. Alright, so there all of these things are. By the way, a quick trick, if you can't see, like if there I couldn't see what was going on, you need to see what your sketches are. Just go to this button at the top here and select shaded without, and that'll instantly allow you to see where your sketches are. So put that back on. So this one's in place. The problem is at the moment it's linked to the sketch beneath it, and I want to unlink it. So I'm going to go to all of those. I'm going to go to display delete relations, and I'm going to select, by holding the shift button down, all of those relations and deleting them. And now this is one instance in where you don't really want to go dimensioning everything. You just want to dimension a common point. So I'm going to reintroduce that point, which I'm going to superimpose on that one there. And they should now be linked. This point and the one beneath it. I don't think they are. Yes, they are. You can see it's gone black. It means it's coincident with the sketch which lies underneath it. So I've actually got 2 sketches here. I've got this top sketch and that bottom sketch. I've now uncoupled them, and I want to make this as like one unit. So if you select it like this with the point, and you go to the left hand side, if it doesn't have the commands on the left hand side, you can just type block in at the top here. But you say block, and you create a block, and it'll list all the lines, and then at the bottom here you see an insertion point. Click on the layout sketch block, and it'll give you this little blue pointer. Put that pointer on that point so that they link together. Once those 2 are together, you say OK. Okay. Now it's actually created a block. So if I grab, is it going to do it? No, it's not doing it, because that's linked. All right. Okay, so if this little point wasn't linked, I could grab a part of the sketch and move the whole sketch around. So let's exit this one, because we've done enough on that one, and we go back to this sketch. So that this might look a little bit confusing. Let me just make sure that it's not too confusing. There's my bottom sketch. It has everything in it, and then this top sketch, or the second sketch, only has the logo with these two swishes. Okay, so I want to go back into this bottom sketch, and now that I've made use of all of these parts, I can either, yes, I can window select and delete, and then I can just select chain, delete, okay, so these are splines, and that's all I want in this one. And I now want to make this as well into a block, so I'm going to block select that, or window select it, and then select the block tool, go back to the insertion tool, layout, and then that little blue line is not appearing. Where is it? Okay, try that again. So I've selected everything, go to make block, insertion point. Okay, I'm not sure why that's not appearing, but let's just see if this happens to give us a block. If I select this, okay, so it's not a block. Right, for some reason this is not giving me a block. Okay, the reason why is that at the moment this sketch is problematic. See, with all these dots here, no, that's the reason why. Maybe. Anyways, these lines here are going to maybe be problematic because they're so detailed. Let's see if I delete that item there. Okay, that looks like I can't do it. But I would suspect that part of the reason I can't do it is because these lines here are not splines, and you would actually need to go and redraw the splines. So style spline, I'm not going to be able to do this much justice, so let's just do a very basic style spline. Delete this one. Link these two. Nope. Oops. Okay, I don't know why this is not working. Let's do another one quickly. See if we can get this done quickly. Control. Right, so it's just this one here I need to link. Okay, try again, see if we can make this a block. Make a block. No, it's not making a block. Okay, hopefully this works without it being a block. The point about it being a block is that you can move it as a unit instead of moving the separate lines. So then once you've got those selected, you can select a sketch, and now you should be able to go and select to use this wrap command, and you'll see the wrap command has across the top 1, 2, 3 different options. One is to emboss, which means come out, deboss, which means go inwards, and then scribe, which just means create a line that you can use to then break this up into 2 different surfaces. So at the moment we want to deboss it, and I can't remember what the 2, yes, I think this is a wrap, that's a spline surface, that's if it's two directions, and then specify the depth, and it's going to ask you for a plane that you want to put it onto. I've got a feeling this might not work. Right, so there's intersecting or open contours in there. There's a problem with the sketch. Never mind, you would put that in. So I'm going to just show you how to do it with these other ones. But let's use this other one. and see if we can't get that one to work. So that one we're going to emboss. We want it to come out. So there's a problem with the sketch. I know what it is. That little line that you saw that I deleted comes from somewhere in here, and there's an open sketch somewhere. Never mind. So we'll have to just ignore those for now. So you've got the method. So that's the tricky bit, is making sure that your sketches are right and that they're properly joined. So here you can see this is a properly joined sketch. Let's just edit this quickly. So there's the sketch that I've selected, that one there. Let's just delete that. So I've selected the face. I've got it as 0.2. You can see that it is debossed, which means go inwards. And there I've got that part. And the reason why you can't do the whole lot in one shot is that SolidWorks needs to know where the inner and the outer boundaries are. And if you have one sketch inside the other, it has no idea what to do with the second sketch. As far as I know, there is no way of actually selecting one sketch yet. Okay, so unsuppress. Let's have a quick look at that one. There are the sketches. And I think in this case I've actually selected part of the sketch to ignore. So yes, I've actually ignored part of the sketch. I've used the whole of the other sketch and selected part not to. See if we can go in there quickly. I can't. Should be able to actually go and check that sketch out. But that's how you do it. That's the basics. Any questions about this so far? Everyone happy?
It does seem quite straightforward, but just another note, it seems like magic when you do it.
Okay, the problem you're going to face, the problem you're going to face is if your sketch isn't right, then it's going to, so let me see if I can, we're going to address that. Yeah, I think the only way we're going to do that, I'm going to be able to do it, is to go into one of these. Let's go to this one here, unsuppress. Because the other way I could show you how to do this is to actually go into another program, but it's no use because that requires you to learn the whole new program. So what I would do inside SolidWorks is, if it's not working, edit the sketch. You might have to actually replace wherever you see something. So have a look at these lines. If the line is uncomplicated and doesn't have all of these little bits and pieces, then it's fine. But if it's got lots of bits and pieces, you want to actually delete that line. So before you delete it, go into your spline. Make sure you select, I would select style spline, make it a B spline degree 3. Trace over this one. Right, for just a curve like this, you only need 4 points. So you want 1, that's the first one. The second one.
Can't you just select both lines and put the tangent out?
No. You can try. Be my guest. Good luck. Not going to work. Because I'm not sure why. It has to do with the. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. I've got a feeling that, let's just have a look before I actually put that in there. Okay, like in this case, there's no tangent to be had. You've got to. Sometimes, by the way, all it requires is that you delete one line. This is a weird thing about SolidWorks, and put that line back in from scratch. Okay, you'll know that it's right when what's inside turns grey. In this case, it's not turning grey, so we definitely don't have a connection. See, not going grey. I'm telling you now, from my experience of doing this hours and hours and hours, these lines with the lots of points, these are the problem lines. You have to go and redraw them one by one. So instead of doing that, let's just put some straight lines in here and see if that rectifies it. So typically you would leave this line in place, trace over it, and then delete the underlying one. Obviously, because of time constraints, I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, no, it's not going to work. There is some other thing. This one here. Try this one. Let's just put that spline in again. Come on. Alright, what I was showing you is that you need 4 points for a curve like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to make that control line collinear with the line that it meets, and that control line with that line. Then you guarantee that this is a tangent. A tangent. Okay. Alright, so it's still not going black. So there's obviously some other problem somewhere. But that's what you'd have to do, is you actually have to go and redraw every single line. So this is where, if you get it right in the program that you start off with, you won't have that problem. Just delete that one there. Yeah, okay. So as I'm going to do it, you have to wait for it to go black or grey inside. As soon as it goes grey, you know that you've got a winner. At the moment, we're not going to be able to do it. I think that's about all I can do for now, is on this line, this sort of thing. Get rid of that line. It's a whole sketch. Yeah, that might have been the reason. I'm not sure. Okay, so looks like we're only going to have 10 minutes left, and I'm not sure there's much more that I can do with that. Do you guys have any questions?
Phil?
Yeah.
So one of the projects we're currently working on is personal branding, where we're creating our own logos and everything.
Okay.
Once we kind of create them as DXFs or as vector files, could you help us make sure that they're kind of SolidWorks compatible?
Yeah. I'd have to. Are you going to use Inkscape?
I'm going to use Illustrator or Photoshop.
Sure. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can try and do is send them to me if you've got them, and then maybe we'll spend part of a lesson just examining what makes it suitable inside Rhino, because I use Rhino. Rhino is, to me, the ultimate 2D vector program. It just beats all the rest as far as usability. So I can show you how to do it in Rhino, which there maybe isn't that much to learn just on that front, and then export it. That I can try and do. But I Photoshop, the last time I used it was 20 years ago. Inkscape.
That sounds great.
Does that sound alright? Then I can show you what the program's looking for, and if you can get to your program to do the same, then great.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so kind of by the end of next week we should have them ready.
Okay, let's try and deal with that next week then. So maybe a few of you send me your DXF files. I can quickly evaluate and then put a lesson together to show you what to look for. Okay, well I'm gonna end it because I've kind of run out. Well, there's a lot more that I need to deal with, a huge amount.